If you're gonna kill somebody, kill Shaq. This is absolutely stunning. Diddy has been linked to several homicides, most notably those of Tupac and Biggie. But fresh information has emerged indicating that Diddy instructed a man to murder Shaq. What was Diddy's motivation for stating that? Is there animosity between them? What actually occurred? We've got the inside scoop on everything today. He's in California. So he came over there telling Papa he was going to kill himself because Shake went to the law office in which his wife worked at it. Gene Deal is referring to a man who had a major beef with Shaq. This man was the vice president of RB Def Jam, and he had supposedly discovered Shaq had been looking over his wife and hyping her up in true Shaquille O'Neal fashion. This man, who was extremely depressed and emotionally torn about the situation, wanted to commit suicide because of what Shaq was doing to him. And his wife, the woman in question, was Shawnee, who would later marry Shaq, which was terrible. For Mr. Vice President, Shaq's approach appeared aggressive and cold-hearted. From the perspective of many, he was aware that the woman was married, and many believe he exploited his wealth and power to push Shawnee toward him. Listen to what Gene Deal has to say about the whole thing. Shaq went to the house, went to the law firm, and told her, listen here, I want you ain't got to pack nothing, I want you to come with me. I guess he was shooting game to a wig before that individual. Before that time, Shaq's techniques clearly succeeded because the woman agreed to marry him right away. And she ended up going with Shaq. Thus, the offended man in this position was obviously upset and dejected. So he sought counsel from Puffy on what he should do. According to Gene Deal, the individual was so depressed that he considered suicide. So he was talking about he wanted to kill himself. Prophet was trying to convince him, man, don't kill yourself over that. Therefore, Diddy's advice appears to be quite helpful and genuine on paper. He advises the man to examine his alternatives and not take his own life, which is something you sometimes need to hear if you're in that circumstance. That was the right thing to say, Diddy, you may be thinking. Yet it does not stop there. What did he says next will take your breath away. And even Gene Deal can't help but laugh in surprise. If you're gonna kill somebody, kill Shaq. You're saying so. In a startling turn of events, Puffy urged the man to direct his rage towards Shaq. This has irritated many people since the news broke, and it has only heightened the suspicions surrounding Diddy and, in many people's eyes, further incriminates his supposedly volatile habits. Even Gene Deal was taken aback when he heard this, claiming that the man had been crying and pouring his heart out to Puff, only for Puff to respond the man had no choice but to accept his fate. And Shaq got away with snatching someone else's wife. Did he, or didn't hit Jack's mistakes, would come back to haunt him in the rear, as the woman he snatched from someone else also cheated on him. Jack has been accused of cheating on Shawnee on multiple occasions. However, it became evident in 2008 that Shaq was not the only cheater in the couple's marriage. Shawnee had adulterous affairs with at least 3 men. While married to Shaq, one of these men was attempting to extort money from the NBA legend's $400 million inheritance. Robert Ross, Shaquille O'Neal's business manager, is also a music producer. They were introduced by a mutual friends in 2008. Ross filed a police report alleging the NBA superstar Shaquille O'Neal had a group of men attack, abduct, and assault him in order to force him to reveal the whereabouts of the NBA star's sex recordings. Furthermore, Russ claimed to have had an affair with Shawnee O'Neal, Shaq's wife. Shaq hired a private investigator to cooperate his allegations, and the investigator agreed Shawnee's affair with Shaq was not a unique occurrence. She dated a Miami trader who was 10 years her junior, as well as a lawyer. According to the lawsuit, Russ was a close personal friend and confidant of O'Neal, and the former Lakers center befriended him despite his criminal record and past connection with the Main Street Crips. Ross claimed that O'Neal plotted to have him kidnapped, attacked, robbed, and threatened because of defendant O'Neal's raging jealousy and the fear that the sex video might become public. Ross said in court into law enforcement that he never had a sex tape of O'Neal, and then he lied about the tape to get the money he felt he was entitled from the record deal during their friendship. The NBA player allegedly begged Ross to murder a woman he had impregnated, as well as a record producer, a gang member who had humiliated him, and to break an NBA player's shooting arm. According to the lawsuit, Ross allegedly attempted to extort money from Shaq in order to keep the incident quiet, but his efforts were futile. Shaq was found not guilty on all accounts and was called a hardened criminal. Shaq, on the other hand, wasn't entirely immaculate. According to speculations confirmed by Shaq, the reason Shawnee and Shaq split up was that they were both cheating on each other. Shaq Will O'Neal admitted on his podcast, The Big Podcast with Shaq, that he was a serial cheater who wasted time with his children. When accusations broke of an affair between Boston Celtics head coach Ime Udoka and a team staff member, as well as singer Adam Levine's DMS, to models, O'Neal was asked about it. Despite Udoka's infidelity against his ex-wife Shawnee Henderson, O'Neal declared that he would not criticize him. "I was a serial cheater," O'Neal said. "It would be crazy and blasphemous for me to get up here saying boom, boom, bam. I can't do that. I know these guys personally. I know they're going through a lot. Because I went through a lot, I did it. I was the best at it. I'm not proud of it. I lost my family doing it. I lost valuable, important years with my children doing it." O'Neal and Shawnee have two children, Sheriff, a son, and Ambra, a daughter. They were married in 2002. They had two more children together, a son named Shakir and a daughter named Merita Hara. O'Neal's previous relationship's daughter and Miles, Shawnee's other son, have both adopted the surname O'Neal, and Shotty separated in 2007, reconciled, and then divorced in 2009. On his podcast, O'Neal stated that seeing his children for the first time was one of the highlights of his life. "The happiest days of my life were coming home and hearing 6 different people saying, 'Daddy, Daddy.'" O'Neal said, "Happiest days of my life. Forget the money, forget the cars, even the championships, especially when they were little and 2 years old and 3. And didn't really care that I missed 10, 15 free throws there waiting for me. After the games, Daddy, can we go to Universal? Those were the best days of my life. When I lost those, not gonna use the word because I know a lot of people are suffering, but I was all the way down sometimes. I'm still all the way down, especially when I was in my house in Orlando, which is 70,000 square feet in there by myself. Nobody, like I'd build a house for the kids, gym, game room, pool house, guest house for the mom. And all that. When I lost all that by being stupid, it killed me." O'Neal had previously hinted at adultery, alleging on the Pivot podcast in April that he wasn't safeguarding those bouts. "I was bad. She was awesome," O'Neal said of Shawnee. "It was only we don't need to talk about what I was doing, but I wasn't protecting her and protecting those bouts. Sometimes you live that double life and get caught up. I'm not going to say it was her." Pippa Sami, O'Neal claimed he got back on his feet following his divorce because he understood he had to be a decent father to his children. "I may not be a husband, but I'll always be a father, and a father's job is to protect, provide,